Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of my podcast, Pure Gold Finances without filter, like your favorite host, Diane Garcia. And today I'm bringing with me a really special guest. She doesn't really need any introduction, but to say something, she's basically a writer. She is a businesswoman. She retired at the age of 35. She is an amazing friend, and besides that, an amazing human being. So, Katherine Frankel, welcome.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
I'm really happy to have her. We met with Kath when I just arrived to the US, 4 years ago?
Yeah,
In the restaurant when I used to work in Mamaroneck Avenue in New York.
that's right.
She was always really nice to me. And today, I'm so glad to have her on my podcast. And Kath, please talk about who is Katherine Frankel?
I guess I'd sum it up by saying I'm an explorer. I love exploring concepts and ideas, new things, new places, the world, life. I'm a creator. I love creating things. I'm a doer. I believe in doing rather than just talking about it. And I guess I would say I'm an achiever. I love achieving. It's important to me. It's important to who I am.
And I gotta say, I have lived with you so many of your little goals or whatever you want to do, you actually do it. And she actually enjoy life, and every little thing we make like a wonderful thing. So tell us about your background. What did you do before?
So I was born in Australia. I'm an Aussie, and I'm a migrant. I came here to the United States, so just like you. In Australia, I did a law degree, which I knew I would never work in. It wasn't what I wanted to do, but it was a great setup, really, for anything else I want to do, including business. The day I graduated, I went to work for Qantas as an international flight attendant and flew all around the world for the next 2 years, and became known to the chief executives through some work I was doing for the union, and ended up coming to ground to interpret the new equal opportunity and affirmative action legislation that had come into Australia. So I did that and then stayed working for Qantas for the next 6 years in management and as an executive, and then happened to do some business trips back and forwards to the United States, saw New York, skyline at sunset, fell in love, packed up and moved to New York.
That was actually my next question. Why New York?
There's a magic about this city that has never faded for me. So the first time I saw it, it looked like a movie set with the skyline. And still, 35 years later, I drive into New York, I see that, and I feel exactly the same way.
We were actually in the city yesterday, and we were just talking about the magic of the city. And once you come here, anybody can fall for the city.
It seems to be a city that you're not half-hearted about. You either love it or you don't get it. And for me, it was a love affair from the beginning. I feel like it's where I was meant to be, and that's never faded.
It's true. And all about your business trip that you were talking before, you were always looking for something in a specific, or you were like trying to find your way here?
No, I wasn't looking for anything specific. I knew that I believe life happens in chapters. So we had our educational chapter at the beginning, and the next chapter might have been a bit of adventure in between with travel and doing things, and the next chapter was definitely financial security. So I knew I needed to work and get financials together. And so I took a job here in New York City working for a family company who loved my law degree and background. They were also doing some work with the United Nations, which I loved, and became involved in that for a while. So it was never a straight path of what I was looking. And I happened to see a business opportunity out there and decided to jump on it and take it.
Why not, right?
Right.
Talking about financial security that you said, you have always known that you wanted like financial freedom, which is a word that these days we use a lot. You were always looking for that, or you were like at some moment you click and you were like...
No, I assumed it as a given. So I didn't suddenly come to the idea. I assumed that that was the next chapter and thing I needed to do. So, especially as coming to a new country, you realize you have no backup. Your family aren't here. You don't have the background or the contacts.
Yeah.
You know that you need to do it yourself. And so it was just an assumption, a given, that, okay, now it's time to go to work and make that happen.
Okay. And that's something that we all need to hear at some point, because some people think everything is automatic. Like in this time.
The overnight successes, anytime I've heard an overnight success, it's taken years and hard work and belief and some struggle and persistence. And that overnight success, I think, is a myth. I think you have to go for it and give everything of yourself to get there, and that's what makes it happen.
True. True. I mean, there is nobody better than you that who can say, you know what, this is the method that you should follow to find success. Talking about success, what about the key things that you will say that help you reach that financial freedom?
One would be discipline. You turn up when you say you're going to turn up. You turn up before you say you're going to turn up. You go in every day. You put a smile on your face no matter what's happening. Stuff can be going on in the background, but if you have to turn up and be a boss or a great employee, you turn up with a smile on your face and you put it all to the side and do what you need to do. And that's not sexy. Doesn't sound catchy, but you know what? It's what you need to do. And there's a magic in that discipline and that turning up and that persistence and that never giving up that I haven't ever seen fail.
And it's actually everything what you say is something that we talk in private, of course. When I ask you for any advice or how can I handle things, you got to do what you got to do, and then put a smile on your face and go for it.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than your attitude in front of different situations. Because
100%.
things always are going to happen, right?
100%.
But it's the way that you handle things is the result that you will get.
We're always going to have at different stages of our life something to deal with. You hope that most of the days are carefree and happy and you can do your thing without any outside problems. But it's life. Stuff's going to come up. And it's how you handle that, how you react in that circumstances, and how you manage things and don't crumble. That is what makes you success in the end.
True. I mean, I don't know if it's true. You know that's true.
You're doing pretty well too.
But when I find out my way, I will say, Kat, you were right. Probably at this point, when Kat for me is like my mentor, I always listen to her. I always go to her if I need anything, any advice on like private or also professional. She's my go-to. She's my, if you want to kill somebody, who is the first person that you will call? It's going to be Katherine Frankel. She has her own friends too, but talking about friends, how important is your closest circle to achieve your goals?
Critical. And people undervalue that. The people you spend your time with and that you surround yourself with can either be drainers or they can be additive to what you're doing. You only get the additive ones if you're one of the ones that add to their life. So you don't get what you don't give. If you want to have good friends, be a good friend. If you want to have a great spouse, be a great spouse. If you want to be successful, help others be successful. And the struggle is you can love people that can still be drainers, whether it's a family member or whether it's a friend or whether it's someone you meet. And if it's a family member, then you just have to work out how to manage that best. If it's a friend, you have to ask yourself whether that's the right friend for you and if you're the right friend for them. And not hang on too long to somebody that you're not helping in the best way possible and they're not helping you. But life is short, goes by really fast. And every minute you want to make the most of, whether it's being happy and having fun or working towards your goals. And there's not a lot of time for drama. And you can lose huge chapters to drama. And I don't see super successful people being the people that stay in that drama.
Mm-hmm. Like the most successful people always talk about how to deal with those kind of things, and most of the time they ignore drama. They just focus on the goals, focus on their people too. Like how important it is to actually make connections with people is what actually leads you to success.
100%. I don't think anybody gets there alone, whether it's your employees, your team, your mentors, your friends. And again, you only get what you give out. So if you're prepared to put energy into good people and enthusiasm and helping other people, it all comes back to you, for sure.
You, how do you say this? You have what you give. I mean, you take what you give. You got to do something first to get something in return.
Absolutely.
It will get back to you at some point, even if it's not from the same person.
Absolutely. So even my employees, I'm in contact with them, 20 years after I've sold my business, 30 years after I've sold my business. We're still in contact because the bonds we made there in becoming successful was something we did together. I didn't count them as people that I shouldn't be giving back to. In fact, the only way they worked as hard for me, and they worked really hard for me, was because they knew I was as addicted to their goals as I was to my own. And that before they bought into my goals, they saw me buying into theirs and making theirs come true. Whether they were personal goals or professional goals, we talked about them, we worked on them, and on the days they didn't have belief in themselves or their goals, I made sure that I stepped in and helped them make it happen. And for that, they were then willing to step in always and help me with mine.
Have you ever deal with anything or anyone like uncertain that you can something or someone really critical on your company on any coworker that you will say, okay, this was really difficult for me to handle? And
Yeah,
if so,
sure. Have I dealt with difficult people? Sure, absolutely. But
how do you deal with that?
number one, I never let it get me down. I mean, there's a thing called the Optimist's Creed, which says to be so strong that you don't let anyone interfere with your state of being. And if you can do that, if you look out and say, I don't know what's going on behind their doors, I don't know what's happening to them, and if I don't know if this is temporary and this is where they're at, or if this is their permanent state, which makes me feel even worse for them because that's a horrible way to go through life. But I definitely never let it get me down. I never let it stop me. Yeah, sure, I had people, I remember in the airline, which was mainly male and very few young females coming up through the ranks. And at that stage, I was getting a lot of publicity because I was working on new legislation. And I had people who literally blocked my pay increases going through because they said, you shouldn't be moving up this fast, you shouldn't be doing that. And again, I went to them, I said to them, look, this isn't your call. It was, put through somewhere else, you just need to put it through. And I prefer to fix it together rather than going any further, but if I need to go further, then I will. And again, that was his call. I didn't let it stop me. I didn't get angry with him. I just looked at how do we manage this? How do we get to the next step? How do we get past this and move on to more productive things?
Talking about how to deal with your emotions on these cases on a professional area. Because at the end of the day, we're all humans, and it's so hard not take things personal when you're actually working with human beings. But when you learn how to deal with these emotions and how to deal with people is what gives you the experience how to go to the next level.
100%. And it's not just professionally. That's
Personal.
Personally in life, I would say the number one success trait is to learn to manage your emotions, both personally and professionally. And it doesn't mean you don't get hurt sometimes. It doesn't mean that you're not upset at times. It means that you keep doing what you need to do until you can take a space to deal with it. Mm-hmm. It means that you have worked out ways and strategies for dealing with it quickly and getting rid of it as fast as you possibly can. And it means that you decide that there's a lesson in it, mm-hmm. something positive that you might have contributed to, or that you could do better, or that you want to model or don't want to model. And then there's a positive that comes out of it, and that you let it go as quickly as you can.
Mm-hmm. True. We talk about a lot on the 21st century about life balance. And until this point, we have been talking about mental, emotional. What about physical balance? Because I do know that a lot of people, including myself, we always look for finding that balance between the physical, mental, and emotional. But if you actually want to be success or find your goal, achieve your goal, you told me your history. You weren't finding any balance. You were all in. So how do you think you will do it all over again in the same way, or you will try to find that balance?
I would do it the same way. And here's what I would say. I used to sit down every week, and I've shared this with you, and I had my own little checklist weekly, just because you can get into things and forget mm-hmm. balance in life. And I had 7 categories in mm-hmm. life. Personal relationships.
Please take note about this.
So these are my categories. And these were things that I decided were important to me. So one is personal relationships, the key relationships in my life that I really valued and that no matter what was going on, I didn't want to ignore. The second was achievement. I said earlier that that's an important thing for me, and was I achieving my goals? Now, I use a saying to remember these: phenomenal achievement, and one was appearance. Am I keeping up my appearance? I was in a sales business when I bought my business. That was important. I knew I had employees. I knew it was important to come in looking like a leader and how I wanted them to look. So even if I was busy, I needed to pay attention to that. So phenomenal achievement and outrageous organization. Boring, sounds awful, sounds something we'd want to ignore. And
repetitive.
If you ignore it, you ignore it at your peril. You run late because your car's out of gas, you can't find your keys, your shoes are broken, you don't have a pair of stockings that don't have runs in it. You're not going to be successful. So phenomenal achievement and outrageous happiness with health. You can't do anything if your health is bad. Mm-hmm. Again, sounds boring, and especially when you're young, you assume it's a given. It's not. You still have to pay something important to it. So my saying is phenomenal achievement and outrageous happiness, which was health. Follow go-getters. F was finances. You have to be paying attention to your money. You have to be looking, am I saving money? Am I making more than I spend? Because you can easily get into a business flow where you're super busy, you're bringing in a lot of money, but the expenses are bigger. If you do that, what's the point? Mm-hmm. And the last one for me that was important was growth. Mm-hmm. I made sure that every week I was reading a book that would feed my knowledge and my motivation, or watching a YouTube or something that was going to feed me mentally to keep going and be strong and be upbeat and on board. Phenomenal achievement and outrageous happiness follow go-getters is my mantra, and it's personal relationships, achievement, appearance, organization, health, finances, and growth. They were the things that were important to me. And every week, I literally graded myself on. I gave myself from A+ to D. And that just gave me a focus for the next week. If I was A+, I'm like, great, doing good, don't sort of have to pay attention to that right now. If it was lower than that, I needed to say, okay, what do I need to do? And I would say one step on each one that I could do that week that would make sure then that I stayed in balance. And by doing that, I had this balance through the week. Now, that's not to say that some times, some periods, I had to abandon some of them to go all in. We all have to do that to be successful. So there might be a week where it was really critical that I paid attention to my staff, the work goals, and the other stuff sort of fell by the side. But again, when Sunday rolled around, I'd bring out my little book and see, wow, okay, I really gave up the other 6 to do this one, but okay, I crushed that one this week. And this next week, I'm back on and I need to pay attention.
When you shared to me that list of tracking your different areas was amazing for me. It was like, oh my God, we don't pay attention on everything,
Right.
but we as a human being, we are so many things, and sometimes we get lost and focus on, like I told you last week or 2 weeks ago, I was feeling really low, and it was like, why? And when you see something on paper, something in writing, and you realize how you get lost on so basic things, and you don't realize until you see it. So if you don't keep track of these little things, you get lost on the same little
And it's
things.
not just us. You look at the most famous people, the movie stars who've taken their lives because their career was thriving, their finances were thriving, but their personal life was a mess. The famous billionaires who have let their health go or their marriages go because they were paying attention, and in the end die alone and unhappy. You know, I think it's easy to forget the really basic thing. I remind younger people of this all the time. The one goal we all share, no matter who we are, no matter what country we're from, no matter where we come from, is happiness. We want I've drummed it into you.
Yeah.
We want to be happy. And it's not happy when, happy when I achieve this, happy when I do this, it's happy every second of your life you can do it. And a happy life is made up of happy decades made of happy years, happy months, happy weeks, happy minutes, happy second. And it's like, how many of those can you string together in a life will show whether you've had a successful life. Because success for everybody is happiness. And happiness means different things for different people.
Totally. Like if you ask someone what makes you happy, probably it doesn't rely on money, which is a lot of people, it can say is proportional in terms of, okay, I'm more happy if I have more money, and it's not true. Like a lot of people, I have met a lot of people, wealthy people and not that wealthy people. And not everybody has the same concept about happiness. And not
Most
everybody,
people haven't thought about
and
what
most people
equals
haven't
happiness
thought
for
about
them.
it.
And that's really scary. I mean, it's interesting to me that we plan our vacations more than we plan our lives. And very few people have sat down at any point in their lives, let alone at the beginning of their careers and when they've just finished school or something, and said, what really makes me happy? What do I think will make me happy? And that's really an important exercise to do, because once you do that, it clarifies so much and it gives you a guidepost that you can then say, is what I'm doing right now, this day, this hour, this thing, designed to make me happy? Is it one of the areas that make me happy? I had a perfect example of it. When I was ready to retire, I had a close girlfriend that lived in the same area. And she had not achieved financial success and had always struggled and had a family and struggled with that. And I said to her, would you like to take my business? I'll give it to you.
Wow.
It was a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
A huge opportunity financially. So she came in for 2 weeks and worked with me. She was miserable. She didn't enjoy a second of it. It could have given her financially everything she wanted, but she would have sacrificed her life to do it. And in the end, the financial returns for her were not worth what she would have had to give up to do it. And she was better off taking a lesser financial achievement and balancing it with what she loved to doing. And that was a clear example of that. And unless you know that, unless you know what makes you happy, you can be working on completely the wrong path that's going to take you somewhere that's not really where you want to go. So I think that initial exercise is probably the most important one anyone can do.
It's true.
All of you can do.
Yeah.
Is just spend a quiet morning or afternoon sitting with a paper in front of you saying, what are the things that make me happy? Is it spending time with your family? Is it traveling the world? Is it learning and growing? Is it being outside? Is it working with a team? Is it working alone? Is it having beautiful things? That's important to know because that will determine then what you decide in the path you choose to get there.
Totally right.
And it provides a checklist that whenever you're going, whenever you're busy, whenever you're sort of overburdened, or whenever you're not happy, you can look at this and go, oh, that's why. None of this is getting me there.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to forget that if you don't have it on paper somewhere.
True, 100% true. And a lot of people get trapped on the same wheel all the time. We're all busy. We all have responsibilities.
Yeah.
But at the end, we're all human, and we're trying to achieve happiness.
Yes.
And we forget that most of the time.
Yes.
So
and that's what's scary to me.
And that's really scary.
And, you know, people get to the end of their life and say, if only, or if I had just.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing you could do, you know, to think it's too late and that's where you got to. So I would say to everybody to do that one exercise now and have that for you and keep it somewhere where you can always look at it and have it because it is a really critical step.
It is. And I can say, like, I have used it, and when you show me that, it just make a life change for me. So I really appreciate that. And now they will have it.
Great.
So it's not a secret.
It's not a secret.
You were always looking to retire on your 30s, or you were like, okay, I got this opportunity and I will take it?
No, I didn't put a timeline on it.
No?
But when I do anything, I do it all out. And remember, achievement is one of the things that I identify as my personality.
Yeah.
So medium is
It's
not where I go
something.
to. But what I do is I decide what is success for me in things, in each area. So you and I discussed at one stage, for example, working out. And that it's easy again to go, okay, if you're an achiever, you might want to lift the most, do the most, spend the most time at the gym.
Yeah.
But if that's not what is your goal with the workout? If your goal for the workout was healthy, just be healthy, then you might say instead, what do I need to do to be healthy? And once you reach that, you go, great, I achieved that. Let me put my energy now in something else as well. And this gives you that balance in every area that we talked about.
Because you only have to be good enough. You don't have to be the best.
And that's a scary thing. When people hear that, achievers hear that,
Yes.
good enough, they're like,
It's
I
not
don't like that.
attractive. It's not attractive.
But good enough in some areas allows you to be great in life. So if the gym and being healthy is one thing, once you've reached the healthy thing, you don't have to be a bodybuilder if that's not your goal in life. You have to be healthy and maintain that. That is great. And that allows you then to put your focus also in other areas and to have a great life, you know, rather than just being a great person at the gym. So, no, I did not have a date I had to retire on. I had the goal of financial freedom and financial security. So I went all in to get financial security, and I...
Without balance.
balance. Yeah, trying to keep the balance along the way. And I was clear where I needed to go and where to get there. I didn't put a timeline on it. I put an end result on it, and I went for it. And in my business, we had finances from all the competing businesses, first in the country and then actually around the world. And we had a fun game that I did for my entire team, which was, let's take out the next person on the list. Let's take their ranking. So we would
Which is
all,
great for the competitive people.
yeah, and
Like when
look,
you see it there, it's
that
like,
competitive
exactly.
juice is magic. So we would all be aware of, okay, let's go for it. So, we would move up the ranking one point, and we'd be like, okay,
Right.
let's go for the next one.
Yeah.
And it was this fun game that we made, and this is this thing of how can you make every step along the way fun? Because again, if my goal is happiness, then even while I'm working for financial security, let me make it as fun journey for myself and anybody that's in the ride with me as I possibly can. Why not? So we used to have these fun games where we would go one by one, and it was a shared achievement, which makes a team. So every time we did it, we celebrated. We went out for a team lunch or a silly, we would do paintball or escape rooms or whatever it was, again, for fun
Yeah.
and to break this stress cycle and have a great time doing it. And together, we ended up becoming number one in the world of our type and got a lot of publicity for it and a lot of attention for it. And I would make sure that every trophy we received, every award we received, every press we received, a different member of the team went up to collect it because everyone was part of this. And that was part of the fun, So we all went together and we made sure that everyone personally got ahead, whether it was buying their own house or having their own stocks, or I would bring in financial advisors to work to speak to them so that everybody felt this forward movement and was part of it and was excited for it.
That's amazing. Because most of the people just put like a timer on their goals and they actually forget their self on their way. So that happened often to my generation and probably the younger generation. I can see my siblings, like, they don't even put goals, but when people wants to put a goal, you put a timer on it, and you forget all this process that you share with your team, or all the happiness that you share with them too, and the connection that you made with them too.
And look, I still had time-driven goals, and that's an important thing. Definitely, I would break down my goal into steps, and I would have steps to do it and achieve it by.
Sure.
But I got to say, if you're around somebody that's serious and not having fun and not enthusiastic, it's not a fun person to be around. And again, this thing of always making it as most fun as you can along the way. We did crazy things at work. I mean, if everyone was feeling,
I believe you.
Yeah, if everyone was feeling a bit down that day, I would buy plastic pink sunglasses and make everybody wear them, including myself, including our clients when they come in, to see the world through rose-colored sunglasses. And it was funny. We would all laugh. The day had gone from miserable to funny. We would all be doing our work with the rose-colored sunglasses on. The clients would come in and say, what are they? And we said, we've got a pair for you. We're all seeing life through rose-colored sunglasses today. Everybody would crack up. It was a funny story to tell. The clients would leave and tell someone else about it. People wanted to come in and see what is this crazy place where they're wearing rose-colored sunglasses. It was a nothing, but it was an awareness that if we could do it that way, there was a magic to it, and that magic is contagious. The word enthusiasm comes from the Greek word, which means powered by the gods. And I always loved that, because if I'm sitting with somebody and they're telling me about hammering in nails, which I know nothing about and isn't my thing, if they were enthusiastic about it, I'm suddenly enthusiastic. I'm like, let me see the nail. Can I try hammering it? Let me try it. There's a magic to that. And if you can bring that to everything, then it's going to be a wonderful path for you and a wonderful path for everybody who's on it with you.
It's true, because we're all energy. Yeah. We're all energy. If you get into a room and everyone is excited and dancing, you're like, suddenly you're feeling like happy and like, you want to dance, you want to be part 100%. Of it. It's the same thing. It's contagious, as you said.
100%. Why was I pulled to you as one of many of the wait staff at the restaurant and that we became friends? It's because you did it with a smile on your face and enthusiasm. You were moved faster than anybody else. You were on it more than anybody else. You wanted to learn how to do it more than anybody else.
I want to talk to you all the time. I was like, I want to take care of her.
And why did you want to take care of me?
Because you were so, like, I knew that you had something on you. Like, first of all, I told you all the time, you look so cool. How you do that? Every time it was like, what do you do? Or I was attracted to you at some point. Like, I feel something like I want to learn from her.
And this is what I'm talking about. There's this magic. Part of it from enthusiasm and happiness that everybody wants to be around. And they want to help you. They want to be with you. They want to share this. And you only get that if you've worked out what happiness is for you and you're on your path and know it. And then that you share it.
It's true. And what do you think it keeps you like motivated on these times?
So part of it is definitely being around uplifting people who are
Definitely.
also doing exciting things, because I'm excited by that and I'm inspired by that. And it doesn't matter what age anybody is or where they're at in their life. If somebody's starting out and they're doing it with enthusiasm, I'm excited. You know, when you were starting your businesses and you said to me, I'm like, oh, gee, I might start another business.
I'm going to do it again.
It's an exciting thing to be around. And so that's number one. Number two, I would make sure I was feeding myself motivational things. So in the same way that we feed our body healthy food, if we're paying attention to it, you need to feed your mind healthy things. I don't watch sad movies. I don't watch sad documentaries, even if they're Oscar-winning ones. I'm not doing it. There are some sad things that I'll have to deal with in life that just come with life at different times. There are problems that I don't have to do it in a movie or a documentary. Do I learn about the things that are going in the world? 100%. But I don't dwell on them, and definitely a fictional movie is not what I'm going to do, a sad or traumatic movie. So I am very careful what I put into my mind, who I keep in my close circle. And that feeds me, and that goes, and goals also feed me. Writing down goals, making sure there's an exciting one. I love New Year's Eve, like my favorite holiday. Writing down knowing that I've got a fresh new year ahead of me.
And in every different country.
In every different country. That's so exciting to me. So every year I restart with a new set of goals in all the 7 categories that are important to me, which I've shared with you. And that motivates me.
I feel like that's amazing, first of all. And then second, how important it is, like feeds yourself or things that it's gonna lift you up. Because everything you see on TV, it's going to be news. The news is always about tragic things. Everything that you read is about gossip. And everything that you see, it's something that is not like aligned with your goals or the person that you are. You're not going to feel like fulfilled.
100%.
Right?
And we're so lucky now. We have the internet and YouTube and everything else where you can choose to fill yourself with any motivational thing you want to at any time of the day or night. So there's no reason to feed yourself the negatives, you know.
So, okay, Kath, we have been talking about business, emotional, financial things. I want to know in what moment writing comes to you.
So remember, one of my things I identify with is creating.
Yeah.
So I love anything creative. Different times I've painted, I drew. I've always written and I've always read a lot. So when I was flying as a flight attendant, I was also writing freelance articles and had publications in the Sydney Morning Herald and in different newspapers and different magazines. So throughout my life, I've always done that as one of the creative outlets that I've done. And I talked about this idea of having chapters in your life, that for me it's very easy to sort of then group it together and help put the goals together. Once I sold my business, I knew I always wanted to be achieving things and doing something new. And it was a question of what would the next chapter be. And I try and plan that out before I get into the next chapter, so there's no gap or there's not a period where I feel, what am I doing, or lost or directionless. So at that stage, I was clear I wanted to sell my business, which was in Arizona, and move back to New York, because that was the place that was always magic for me. I was clear I wanted goals and to achieve something, but I did not want something that would tie me daily to one place because I wanted to travel a lot again. And for that reason, I couldn't have a lot of staff either because staff take a lot of attention, rightfully so, if you're leading a team. So it was a question for me of what am I going to do that I could do from anywhere in the world, that I can do up to any age and any physicality, and that I could do on my own without staff. And writing came up for me as that would be what to do. So I was very lucky that before I left, I was part of an international organization that my business was part of. And they asked me to write a textbook on how I achieved what I did in such a short time. So it was a great first start. I left already with a book contract and was able to then come back to New York, do everything I wanted to do, travel the world, and still be writing this textbook that was already paid for on what I'd just done. So that was a wonderful first start. So after that, then I played with different things. I worked with some magazines. I had a newspaper column for 4 years. So I used all of that. And just recently I decided I want to go back and try writing books again, and this time fiction. So that's what led me there. It was very thought out and strategic. And again, easy to get to because I was very clear what my values were that made me happy. One was achievement, one was creating, and then I was very clear of what chapter I was in. No staff, wanting to do a lot more travel, and it needed to work with that. So it made it very easy to come up with this strategy. So writing ended up being the perfect way to do it. Perfect fit, and I'm loving every second of it.
And why criminal things?
So just so you know, it's not criminal activities. It's that I'm writing a murder mystery as one of the books.
Yeah, when you told me, no, I'm a writer, we start talking about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, she probably write about self-motivation or how to achieve things or history. And suddenly she comes to me like, no, this is stories about a murder and how these people killed this one. How that came out to you?
My husband was also worried about that. And he's like, do you lie in bed and think about these things? He sort of was sleeping with one eye open after that. But no, I don't know. It was just a new fun thing I hadn't done. And again, I love everything new. I love learning about it. And I had an idea, again, based on things that I do. So the murder mystery is based in a dance studio, which was one of the businesses that I had. And I just have been having great fun with it, learning a lot, learning the skills and the craft of it, and having great fun doing it.
And enjoying the process.
Loving it. I'm loving every second of it. I can sit there and 8 hours can go by without me getting up, without doing things because I'm so in it. And that's this idea of you're in flow and you're just loving what you're doing.
And besides the writing, there's any book that you have read that have changed have blow your mind or your favorite?
So many of them.
Maybe top 5?
Okay, so it's a mix because books have always been power for me. And, before YouTube was out there and motivational videos were so easily accessible, books were the magic. The magic potion to find out things I wouldn't have otherwise known. So first was definitely fiction. Of all things, I don't know why, Wuthering Heights, very young, appealed to me. And I couldn't even tell you why, except I saw the power of words. And I think that's always stayed with me. So, and maybe informing why I want to write now and why I always was involved in writing. Little Women was another one. And I know why Little Women was. It's about strong young women going after their goals in non-traditional areas and being successful at it and dealing with everything else along the way and still making it happen even when people told them they shouldn't have. That's a message that resonated very strongly with me. And I was young when I read that. I think the first time I read it was probably, 11 or something. And I reread it often.
Young.
Yeah, I reread it often as I was growing up. There were books that I kept that I went back to. So fiction has even, Heidi, you know, a children's book, was about a young girl that went up against difficulties and achieved against it. And those informed who I was. So I think reading is such an important thing to do for young kids. And then later, when I was running my business, I talked to you about feeding yourself if you're going to feed others. So I would give talks every day, meetings with my staff where I pumped them up, ready to go, ready to do what they needed to do. And to do that, I needed to be pumped up. And I needed to have new, exciting material for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was holding an hour meeting 5 days a week. That's a lot of material. And I had to have something interesting to say to them.
Yeah.
So I had to be feeding myself. So I was reading during that period a motivational book every 2 or 3 days. So I was really feeding myself, and that was incredibly powerful. And I tried to choose books that were 100% aligned to the goals I was working on that week or that month. So if it was a week where I was particularly paying attention to sales, I would read something relating to sales. If I was particularly paying attention to delivering outstanding customer service, I would pay attention to that. And those were incredibly powerful. I cannot understate how important it was to feed myself. Some people are not readers, and that's fine. You listen to a YouTube, you listen to something on the radio on the way to your work. You do something that feeds you, and it is really, really powerful. So motivational books, How to Influence People was a classic that I think is still really valuable. Even Eagles Have to Learn to Soar was one that I loved that I think is really valuable. But I would just say Google what you need help on right now, if it's organization or if it's motivation or if it's physical health. Google what's the bestseller book in this one, pick it up and read it, or what's the best video on this one, and spend 5 minutes watching it.
Those are being one of the things that we are talking about. If you're going to read a book, try to read a book accordingly of what you're needing today.
Yeah, I think people can get pulled away from their goals when they think they're doing something healthy, reading or listening to something that's on something a year from now that they'll be dealing with. That's great if that's in your spare time, but if you're using it as power right now, you're better finding something that is particularly related to what you're working on that week and listening to something on the way to the car. Other people are powered by music.
Yeah.
If a music song pumps you up, by all means, crank it up on your way to work, sing along, and get that same power. It doesn't matter what it is. It's that it feeds you to go out and do what you need to do.
Yeah, totally. It doesn't have to be a book. It's in this case because I know you are a writer, a reader.
Yeah.
So, but yes, totally. Like every person has different ways to fill out themselves. So with different information or different ways to, even if it's music, if it's a book, or even if it's a YouTube video, a podcast.
This morning, podcast. There you go. Good advertising. This morning, I said, "Okay, Alexa, play "I've Got a Feeling" by the Black Eyed Peas." There's something about that song. Doesn't matter how many times I hear it, it pumps me up. I cannot help but dancing on my way to do whatever I need to do, and it's a power.
Yeah. What do you think it means for you? Abundance, like that word.
Abundance for me would mean time, space, energy, companionship to do the things I want to do. So I was very deliberate and clear in my choice of who I wanted as a partner. I was very deliberate and clear in what was important to me to share with a partner. I was very deliberate and clear in what finances I wanted to do, what I wanted to do. For me, I'm a gypsy. I swear I was a gypsy in a previous life because there's nothing I get fed by as much as putting my hair in a ponytail, putting on sneakers, and exploring some new weird place around the world.
Yeah.
And so I was very clear that took time.
Like Slovakia.
Pakistan, like Bhutan, like the base camp of Mount Everest,
Yeah.
all of those, I have been to. Antarctica was the last one. We just paraglided and hang sound off the Swiss mountains, landing on the lake in Switzerland, in St. Moritz. Those things are important to me. They take time, they take money, they take physical energy, they take a certain type of partner that's willing to come along on the crazy ride. So I was really clear. That was really important to me. And I needed all those other things to get there.
But 1 second is about, because we have been talking about abundance, what is. Most likely is time. It's not about money. It's about
Here's
time.
the issue. It's all of them combined because, and this is where we get to that thing of balance and paying attention. There's people who have time and say every day feels 1,000 years long. I'm so bored. Time is stretching forever. That's not what you want from time. My time runs out so fast.
So fast. I know.
A day goes in a second. I'm running from everything, and I love that. And there's also times where I want to breathe and to chill, and I want time to be appropriate for that. But so it's all of that. Abundance isn't one thing. And I think if you concentrate on one thing and you see the people that did, we spoke earlier about the movie stars who put everything into fame and end up committing suicide because they're so unhappy.
Yeah.
The billionaires who let their health go or their marriage or their family, their kids, and ended up unhappy. It's not one thing. And I think that's what we have to be careful of.
Yeah.
And this combination and this balance is the tricky little thing that you play with all the time. And when you get that right, and you get it right just by paying attention, then you have a great life where you can do the things you want to with the people you want to, with healthy relationships that you've nurtured, that you are adding to and helping with good health that you can enjoy it, with no drama on the side to distract you from it and distract from your enjoyment. And you can only do it when all those things come together.
100% true. But yes, I listened to you about how important it is your partner on this adventure. Because I do know that having someone next to you that match your goals, it has to be a must.
Not just match your goals, and not even match your goals. I don't care if they have different goals than me. In fact, that's sort of exciting to me that we're sharing each other's goals, but who support your goals.
Sure.
And who believe in your goals. That's critical. And I think everybody that ends up successful, and remember, successful for me is happy, is someone that has thought about who they want by their side. For some people, it may be no one. Some people may be happy to be alone. But you have to know that about yourself.
Yeah.
And know that if that is what it is, that's going to make you happy. For me, I love having someone by my side as a partner that loves travel like I do, that's up for crazy adventures like I do, that has the physical energy to do that and the spirit to want to do that. And that's not everybody. Okay, I want to jump off mountains, and so I want to stay in odd places. I want to explore odd things. That's not for everybody, nor should it be.
True.
But for me, I'd like that by my side. Now, in the time before I met Carrie and didn't do that, I did it by myself. I didn't need somebody to do that. I did it by myself. And I loved it. I had a great time. Is it more fun with the right person? 1,000%. 1,000%. But what I would say, and what I have said to young people ready to start a path, the choice of your partner, if you're going to have one, is the most critical choice you will ever make.
Yes, we have this
Yeah.
with this conversation. It's really important because most of the people don't pay attention and don't have simply this uncomfortable conversation that you should have with someone that you're willing to share your life.
Or are not able to be alone if they need to step away. I think one of the most important things is that you know and your partner knows that if ever it came to a point where you weren't lifting each other up and making each other's lives better, and that you were pulling each other down in any way, then you're both okay with saying we had a great chapter, but it's not a great chapter anymore. And to hang on too long, can be a problem. Yes, you fight for the people you love and the things you believe in, 100%. But if it's not going anywhere good, then it's important to say we did it great till now, and we need to step away. But that you got to know that you can do it all by yourself.
100%. And how do you think how important it is to talk about financial with your partner?
I think it's critical. So I have seen a lot of women, particularly, who have let the finances stay with their husbands or partners, either out of a feeling that they didn't understand it, or they're busy with other things, whether it's child rearing or career or whatever, or they're just not really interested. That is incredibly dangerous, and it's got people into awful situations. It's also not being a good partner. So I would say learn the basics. All the basics are out there, again, on the YouTubes, it doesn't take much. And you don't have to do anything fancy with finances. You just do the basics. And you should always know what your financial situation is. You should be a team player in it. Jump in when you need to. Do what you need to do to help. And you should talk about with each other what are your financial goals and how we can both help each other and together get there.
Totally. I totally agree with that. I think when you're choosing a partner, you have to be able to communicate all your needs. And money is something that we must talk. Because most of the women's, I don't know if it, like on these days, probably is more normal than women's. We work, we're independent, we talk about money, but it's not, we're still having so many things to develop. So with this information, guys, and everything that we have been talking, we are now going to our sponsors. So I want to thank you, Chili Shade, for being the first sponsor for this podcast. So Katherine, these are going to be for you.
Oh,
I
thank you so
wanted
much.
you to
I
try them
love
on.
them.
And second, EcoFlow, the video marketing agency that has this wonderful setup for us. And now, Katherine Frankel, with those shades on, I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
We have a dynamic, so I'm going to ask you a few questions.
I feel a lot cooler in the shade.
How do you feel now?
Very cool.
So now you have those shades. What do you say to the young self now that you have achieved all your goals?
I would say there is nothing that is impossible. Whatever you want to do and you believe you can do, you can do. And believe in the power of goals and writing them down and hard work then to make it happen.
Any advice for immigrants, women, or young entrepreneurs who are just starting now?
Yes, treat it all as an exciting adventure. Be open to every opportunity. Always do anything that you're doing from the starting job to each job up with the same enthusiasm and hard work ethic and wanting to do your best and wanting to learn it. And people will notice and it will open all the doors for you to come.
If you could leave any piece of wisdom for the next generation, what would it be?
It would be go for it. Life is short. It goes fast. Find out what makes you happy and then make it happen.
If you have to start all over again, what would be the 3 things that is a must?
Goals. travel, and a great partner.
What do you think of AI?
I love AI. So it's again another new, remember, I'm a discoverer. So it's another new horizon for me. I am complete ignoramus. I'm wading my way through. I'm playing with it all the time. I love it. I can't wait to get more into it. People are frightened by new things, and change is the thing that's happening more than anything else you'll ever deal with in your life will be change. And you need to get good at it. And so get excited about it. Don't get scared by it. Learn as much as you can. Learn how to use it. And I am really excited for AI, and I cannot wait to see what the next changes are going to be.
And with that message, guys, we're getting to the end of this chapter.